Hey, folks, it's Lindsey Huddleston with SPS back in the building for another SPS Edge Show. And I got the crew with me, plus one. We're going to talk about that in a second. I got my guy, Terry McCord Jr., holding us down. TJ, what's going on? You good, man?
I'm good. How about you?
I'm excellent, man. I had to get through that little audio situation, but I'm good, though. Also got Coach Orlando Watkins, always keeping it together. Appreciate you and all that you do behind the scenes, not just for the show, but for everyone else. But we want to introduce to some and remind others of Miss Micah K, Queen, if you really know what's going on, who's joining us today to talk a little boxing. Micah, how are you?
I'm good. How you doing?
Really, really welcome to the SBS Edge Show. I want to thank Orlando for speaking so highly of you and bringing you on. But we got a little technology, guys. You want to know how she look? Here she is right here. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
right.
put me on there. Yep.
Yep, put you out for sure. Representing afternoon sports Slade. That's what's going on. But Micah, you are here to talk about one topic in particular, boxing, which we haven't probably touched on at all in the duration of our show. But I was able to watch one of your YouTube links, which is great. But why don't you introduce yourself to the fellas as well as all who may be listening and talk about this sport that gets you up and going all the time.
Apologize, guys. If you heard that sound. So yes, my name is the Queen. I go by the Queen Micah K. Afternoon Sports Slay is my business. I'm in the process of starting my sports brand business. So I interview professional athletes and high school students and college athletes. And once again, it's the Queen Micah K. And my brand is Afternoon Sports Slay. And I'm all about, part of my mission statement is all about uplifting and supporting the community and uplifting the youth. So that's what I'm really mainly about. And I would love for people locally. I'm so appreciative of Coach O for even inviting me on this platform. I don't take anything lightly when somebody acknowledges me or my work. So thank you to Coach O and everybody. And yeah, so I love sports. That's my passion. That's what I love to do.
Yeah, Man is just joining us. He wanted to know, did you look up to Layla Ali? But before, he said, my bad, I thought she was a boxer, but that's cool though. She's in that field. But hey, she run with some heavyweights, no pun intended. Let me just see. Oh, okay. Okay.
With the Tyson.
Hanging out with Iron Mike.
Yeah,
Okay, okay. Giving the pose for the picture. Now, but wait a minute, hold on, Orlando. I'm not done. Look who be representing the brand for. We got Bubba Chuck in the building. Out of
absolutely.
Iverson representing. Coach Baker in the building. Shout out to Baker as
Yes, yes.
well. And then here is 2021 Miss PSL. What's the young lady's name again?
Ayanna
Yeah.
Tyson.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So you on the scene. So with that being said, Orlando, what I'll do is I'll let you talk a little bit more about Micah. You have this relationship with her. You've been speaking so highly of her. Her resume and accomplishments speak for themselves. But how about you get us started with her? And I got a few questions that I pose for her as well, but love to get your perspective of working with Micah. How do you guys even know each other for the record, too?
Actually, Micah worked up at Cody, but not exclusively. And I got a chance to meet her when she did the interview with Ayanna, and she did such a great job there, and really helping us promote Ayanna and getting the word out there. Ayanna was probably the best kept secret in the PSL, you know, for quite some time. But I did just really the start of Micah, because I'd looked at you. I've gone through your YouTube channel and we kind of looked. How did you get into that niche of boxing? Because it seems like you are knee deep in the boxing world. I mean, how did
Yeah.
you kind of get started there?
So I'm gonna give you two reasons. First reason, due to my dad, God rest his soul, he's no longer living. My dad was a sports fanatic. So with ESPN, we watch everything. So some people would be amazed the knowledge that I have, even for just something as far as like I might not know as much, but hockey, tennis, golf. I'm talking about we sat there and watched everything together. So he also told me about boxing. He used to go to fight parties back in the day, especially in the early 90s with Mike, Mike Tyson, certain things like, well, not with him, but went to go watch Mike Tyson. So definitely, I always want to show respect and love and honor my dad and his legacy. And the second person would be my husband. that's really my husband is the one, because when I met him, we wind up start going to fight parties. His best friend would throw fight parties, so we went to I can't even. It's so many, and then we would go and watch Floyd. So that was like the main event, like for the, especially I would say when right before Floyd retired, those last 3 or 4 years, we were going to see every Floyd fight, or going to the parties and things like that. And what happened was, I already love sports so much. I played basketball. I always, always had a very good eye for sports and just knowing athletes and their tendencies. I wind up watching boxing a lot and seeing that I knew how to break it down and analyze it really well. Everybody kept saying, "Man, how do you know this? How do you know that?" So I just got hooked. I got hooked. And I wound up, people start saying, "I can't believe you that knowledgeable, or you know the tendency so well." So that's when I said, you know what, I'm gonna switch it up a little bit. I'm gonna cover boxing as well.
That's
And it took
fantastic.
off.
Yeah,
So,
you have.
not to put you on the spot, but since we don't really cover boxing, I don't think we've ever really talked about
You
boxing.
haven't. Not directly.
Queen, can you give us a little update on boxing? What's happening in this hot in the boxing world right now?
So one of the main things, this is like in the boxing world, in the boxing community right now, is the Earl Spence Jr. I don't know if you guys familiar with him. Earl Spence is from Texas, and then you have Terrence Crawford. They're in the welterweight division. Huge, huge, huge. So think of people, let's say back in the day. I don't want to tell you wrong. I forgot what division, but think of Tommy Hitman Hearns. Think of Sugar Ray. Think of certain people like in that era that was really big. For this era now, Spence and Bud are those ones for this era. Unfortunately, the boxing world thought that fight was going to come this month in November, but due to one thing about if you're a fan of boxing, which people realize now, boxing is one of those sports too. You can get disappointed now because certain fights you don't get a chance to see like we really want to, due to the politics, due to the business side. But
Mom, if I can interrupt, my mom was sick about it because she was on her way to Vegas for that fight. She was all in on that. And shout out to Latasha Prince. She said, "We want Spence and Bud. We want Spence and Bud." Go ahead.
Yes, go ahead. That. Listen, let me tell you how major that is. My husband and I, we were trying to prepare just to go to Vegas. That it was that big of a deal. I had plans, and yeah, it just fell through. So the boxing world, we heated about it, and also it's like a war amongst the boxing community too, because you have the Spence fans, then you have the Crawford fans. So they kind of butting heads right now. Why that fight hasn't happened yet?
So you would say right now that's the hottest thing I'm familiar with. Talk about weight class. I know I posed a question to you offline. Who's your favorite, and then what's your favorite weight class and why?
So my favorite, listen, I had to even write this down because I have so many favorites, but I would say right now it would probably have to be that lightweight division. I have several favorites, but the lightweight, and that is for those who might not know, and like I like to call my supporters my Slayers and Slayettes. So like my Slayers and Slayettes, my supporters and new fans, the lightweight division is at 135 pounds. So my favorite fighter at 135 right now is Gervonta Tank Davis. That's a fighter out of Baltimore,
Yeah,
Maryland.
You don't like Tank,
Love him.
You don't like Tank?
I like Garcia, baby. Ryan Garcia.
Oh, no. Oh, so you guys be at war because they supposed to fight soon.
I know. I've been waiting. That's the one I might go buy and watch. I don't really do boxing, but I gotta see my boy. I've been waiting.
Yeah. So to me, let me break down Tank for those who might not know. Ryan Garcia, excellent hand speed, quickness, athleticism. What I like to tell people is all about what I look for in a great athlete. Certain attributes is they got nice bounce. So if you got good bounce, that means I love a good springy, athletic athlete.
So you saying bounce off the floor? How you get off your feet?
how you get off your feet, how you move. And one thing I love about Tank, he's a southpaw fighter. So for those who don't know what southpaw is, that left hand is special, but he can give it to you any way. He got that right and that left hand. He got speed, power, athleticism. He could do it all for you. And he's not just a power puncher. He's also a boxer. A lot of people try to take that credit away from him and say he's just a power puncher, but he's also a boxer as well. And I saw the young lady, I think she said Pooh. Yes, Shakur Stevenson is an excellent boxer.
Yeah, Pooh keeps it all the way 100. She's one of our real funky followers in a good way. She get down with us. She also wanted to know, Micah, where would you rank Roy Jones Jr. in his prime? So my pops used to watch his fights, and he was an entertainer.
Roy Jones, I would need, those type of things. I would have to really sit and really think, because I don't want to just tell you, but high. He's definitely high. My dad loved him too. My husband loves him. So yeah, elite fighter.
So let me ask you this, and fellas, feel free to jump in whenever, because you're a slayer too. We slayers talking to the slayette. Why do you think there's this love affair with the heavyweight division, where people just all kind of think that's like just the complete epitome? I know those are the biggest, strongest guys, but why do you think there's this love affair with that?
Y'all want me to say something first? Or
that's for you. That's for you.
That's you.
That's for me. Okay.
You're the person of the hour. All these questions come from you.
Okay. So heavyweight to me, I feel like in particular, especially for men, even though I'm not a man, I can only see, slightly to have an understanding. I feel like because it's all about the power. You want to see an exciting knockout fight. Everybody come like back in the day. See Mike. You want to see how quick he knocked the person out. Now you have a Deontay Wilder. He's one of my favorites as well. Some people don't like him, but he's my fave because he has that right hand is so powerful. All it takes is that one right hand to get you out. And I think the public and the boxing community, they love excitement and knockouts and that power. Boxing is unpredictable, so you don't know what's going to happen. And I think that's what draws people into that heavyweight division.
I get it. Yeah, and it's like, I think as a student of boxing, my mom, shout out to my mom, it's Patricia England right here. I'm telling you, we posted the pictures a while ago with her and John Madden. She was back at the fight at the Superdome. She was 3 rows behind, literally Frank Lucas when they were there. I mean, she's been there and seen it all, so she's excited to hear about it. She said Miss Baumgartner won. She really special, and that's a Detroit connection.
Can I say something really? Not to interrupt
Please,
you. Tell your mom. Is it Miss England?
Yeah, that's Miss Patricia England.
Miss England, how you doing? I want to tell you, if you go on my channel, I interviewed her, Alicia Baumgartner. I interviewed her before she became unified champion. That's on my channel. Just go down 3. I actually interviewed Alicia Baumgartner and Tony Harrison that day. So if you see that, I actually asked Alicia Baumgartner, who she went up against, Michaela Mayer, what made her better. So I did an interview and I also did a prediction, and I was one of the people who let everybody know I knew Alicia was going to beat Michaela Mayer.
Yeah. I got to just shout out Ron real quick. Yeah, Ron, official chinchilla coat, 3 rows behind. Yeah, that whole life. That's the deal. We'll talk about that. But no, mom is legit. And then my mom says, will do. Thanks. Yeah, she went to that. My mom tells a story that before American Gangster, the movie came out recently, that she remembers going to that fight. I remember seeing this man that had on this big chinchilla coat sitting up front. Later to find out that was Frank Lucas, and we know what happened with that. Yeah, Ron, we legit around here, man. But just with that being said, Micah, let's talk about women in boxing. I guess it's the past, Orlando, 20 years we've seen, women in boxing come along.
Right.
What is a common misnomer that people kind of get wrong when it comes? Because they probably think the only female boxer is Clarissa Shields or Layla Ali. But talk about the growth of women in boxing.
Well, I can say within the last 2 years, and in particular this year, 2022, has been a major stepping stone for boxing, due to the fact, we have to say, to me, Clarissa Shields, she calls herself the GOAT. I believe she is the GOAT just off of her accomplishments, what she has
greatest
done.
Woman of all time, GOAT.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So y'all peep that?
Oh yeah.
Yes. And just like a couple of weeks ago when Clarissa fought Savannah Marshall and Alicia Baumgardner fought Michaela Mayer, they were in London. That did huge numbers. They talked about how that was such a big deal for women's boxing at this time. Then it was another big fight some people might not be familiar with. It was Katie Taylor versus Amanda Serrano. They were in New York. That was a sold out. They were sold out in New York. So it was huge fights because you had Clarissa versus Savannah, which was for all the belts, undisputed, and Alicia Baumgardner was for unified. And then Amanda Serrano and Katie Taylor, like I said, that was a mega fight this year. So really, women's boxing, for the first time, I can say while I'm watching it, truly, you can tell it really has come on the rise within the last year or two.
So where do you see the future of the sport going? Men's boxing, women's boxing. If you had to forecast out, 10 to 15 years, where do you see things going?
To be honest with you, with boxing, it's one of those sports where certain things still have to change. Just like, I call it, like the OGs or my uncles and certain things like that. Just like they're saying, it's so much dealing with the business and the politic. It's if boxing gives us the fights we want, I could see it constantly rising. But if we don't get the fights that we want, just like with the Spence and the Crawford fight, it depends. Boxing can either rise or it can go back on the decline. It's one of those sports too. It's a very expensive sport. So if you don't even have, some people might not be willing to pay $60 or $70 every weekend at this point in time.
Not 100, unless
exactly.
Unless you got the zone. I know my mom got the zone. She watched that.
Yes, and it's so pricey. So it's so many apps. You have to really be a passionate fan to really even lock into boxing, because there's not just one specific channel. It's not free, like you said with your mom, Miss England. She has the zone, but sometimes you might have to buy 3 or 4 different apps because some come on Showtime. So it's a lot to boxing. So for me, just getting back to your question, I'm really not for sure. It can go either way depending on the big people or the powers that be, depending on how everything is going to flow within the next few years. But we are in a good spot, though. Yeah. It is in a good spot.
I was gonna say, I know also too, bad decisions impact boxing. When it's those decisions where they're trying to set up that third fight, so it ends up being somebody kind of getting a win that probably, on his face and look like it would be it. Tell us your where we can find your information. I want to put that up so people can follow you.
Oh, okay. So on Instagram, you can follow me at MK Sports Slay. So that's MK, then Sports, SPORTS, Slay, SLAY. And that's on Instagram and Twitter. And then for my YouTube channel, it's Afternoon Sports. And then Slay, just letting everybody know I'm not and maybe I need to not stop saying it, but I'm getting better with social media. I've never been the biggest with it. Actually, let me put this out here now. If somebody I'm talking about somebody that's a hard worker with integrity, that's willing to help me with the social media aspect to get that in the right direction, please come my way.
You got something and say your YouTube channel again.
Afternoon Sports and then Slay.
Oh, we got a good question.
That's a good question.
Yeah. Hold on. Afternoon Sports Slay.
Yes.
Okay, good. Yeah, this is Terry McCord, not the Terry McCord that's sitting in front of you now. This is Terry McCord Sr., and he said, "Is Jake Paul?"
That was my question. That was my question. Like, who is Jake Paul really that good?
You know what? To me, let me say this about Jake Paul. A lot of people might disagree. What I can say about Jake Paul is you could tell he's taking it serious. He's focusing on the craft to do good. But mind you, with the Jake Paul situation, people have to understand remember, this is a YouTuber turned boxer. Some boxers do not agree with it because they're saying he's making light of the sport. But however, you can still tell he is
I mean, won't the sport judge you though? If you making light, won't you get judged in the ring?
Some people feel that he's not. Some people feel like he's actually working towards the craft. He's fighting people. But what I was about to say is just like he just fought Anderson Silva. That's a UFC fighter. So for some people, even though he beat Anderson Silva, they like, okay, but you're not really fighting elite boxers yet.
So what is his weight class? What is his weight class? If you come in, is he heavyweight? He's a big dude.
I believe I would have to look. I can't tell you, Jake Paul. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't follow as much with Jake Paul. I'll watch it just to see how it's going. But I believe he's in between maybe that lightweight and middleweight. Okay. But you're right. I don't know. He could be heavyweight.
So, Queen,
go ahead. What, Orlando?
Yeah, Queen. Overall, don't you think that Jake Paul is good for the sport?
In some ways, I can say, because let me say this part. Some people might not agree, but the marketing and promotion, people haven't forgot about boxing or don't even look at it. He's brung what you call the casual fan back to boxing just to see who's in boxing. So they needed that. He was able to promote. This is somebody that was a YouTube megastar. He's selling out. So at least he's getting other people to fill in those seats and getting people back talking about boxing. So I say it's pros and cons to it.
Let me ask this, just off the cuff, whether we determine he's a heavyweight or a light heavyweight, what would you say?
1 second, guys. I'm sorry. Hold on.
Okay.
Audio. I'm sorry.
All right. I'll let you think of this question. Who would be a good matchup with him, just to tell the real truth, you know?
Who would be a good matchup for Jake Paul?
Yeah, to really tell the truth on if he's legit or not.
Well, I had to get back to you, but when I would have to look up his weight class, then I'll tell you. He just needs to fight a really good. He needs to fight a actual boxer. That's a really good boxer. Then we'll see if it's really, if he really got something, if he got a little juice.
All right.
It said here cruiserweight. I don't know if that's
okay. He's a so that's right. That's a step below heavyweight. So he's right before heavyweight.
Or he can go up to heavy if he's that close. If he really want to get in.
Yeah.
Latasha wants to know, how do you feel about the Charlo twins?
Charlo twins. So most people know if they follow boxing, Mel and Tony Harrison from Detroit, they fought, which was a big deal. Tony Harrison won the first fight, then on the rematch, Mel won. But getting to the point, Charlo twins, definitely like the Charlo twins, especially as far as when we talk about inside the ring. Jamel Charlo, excellent fighter, excellent. To me, his last fight is one of my favorite fights. He fought a guy by the name of Brian Castano. And Mel is a person too that has excellent power punching ability, excellent athleticism and defense, and moves very well in the ring and has a very high IQ.
I love that. Just to see how, so you see how my mom get down. But she said, I need Jake Paul to get beat down and sent home.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people, they ready for him to take a L.
Those are boxing purists. Those are purists. Tasha says, I know I'm asking a lot of questions. I love boxing. That's fine, Tasha. I didn't know you love boxing like that. She said, me too, Tasha. Look. Hey, the ladies is holding it down on the boxing.
I see. I did not know that. So, ladies, I'm going to have to tell the ladies, that means you got to subscribe to Afternoon Sports Slay. I got interviews. I can't let the cat out the bag yet. But that means your mom and the other young lady, she's going to love these new interviews I got coming up in the next week or two. You got to tap into me.
I'm on my way. I'm about to go see Micah. We about to go to the fight. We'll talk to you later.
Oh, yeah. I got a lot of nice big interviews coming up. You got to pay attention.
Supporting you and what's going on. With the time that we have with you, is anything else you want to share? So when we come back around, we can be ready for the next thing. What you got going on?
Just like I said before, like I told my supporters, I got 2 other jobs, so be patient with me. I want to make sure I consistently upload. I try to at least upload once a week, if not every other week. Like I said before, I got 2 big interviews on the way. Cannot tell you who they are yet. Want to make sure I get them done first. I also cover basketball. I dabble in a little football. So the queen has her hands in a lot of pots. We're gonna do a lot, even though my main thing is boxing. So yeah, check me out the next couple months. It's gonna be a nice few things in store.
Okay. Well, we're gonna keep an eye on you. Do know you always have a home here to come in and check in with us, get us up to date. Now you know what's gonna happen, guys. As soon as we hear something about boxing, we gotta call Micah.
We gotta call Micah. But the next time we need to see you.
Yes, I'm gonna make sure. And let me just say that I see that you posted the name is afternoon. Make sure that the N
for YouTube?
O-O-N. Yes.
Okay, I'll take care of that right now. Let me get it right. I don't want no problems. We don't want no problems, bro.
And the last thing I want to say
is right cross, Lindsay.
I know.
Yep, just make sure spread the word about me. I'm looking for to get my channel monetized. I'm going to support you too. Make sure I subscribe, and I want to thank Coach O. Thank you, Lindsay and Terry. Appreciate you guys allowing me to voice my opinion. Like I said, I don't take this lightly. I appreciate the women that was on here commenting. To especially, I love to see the women. So I want the women to make sure look out for me and go to Afternoon Sports Slay. I'm not gonna over talk it anymore. I appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Well, we appreciate you too. Last thing I want to say is we did talk about you being a female, but shortly after we established that wasn't the basis. You are a very informed aficionado of boxing, and that has nothing to do with male or female. So we appreciate you being able to transition with that. And again, you always have a home here, and best luck to you with everything else you do. And I think Tasha's comment is very appropriate. She said, "I love this." So you're having a good time.
All right. Shout out to Tasha. All right. And shout out to Miss England. That's what I'm talking about. Let's go. Boxing. Yes.
You got it. You got it. We got Queen Micah K here checking out. We'll see you next time. Thanks for joining us. And with that, guys, hey, man, way to go, Coach O. You get the star of the day for bringing Micah in, man. I think this is going to open up a whole new thing. I got a lot of my partners. I know that, man, he was talking about boxing. You know, I love boxing. Why you didn't holler at me? But I guess staying with the theme of boxing and fighting, you know, might well just keep going right here, man.
Into it.
Michigan State, MSU. What's going on in the tunnel? What a popular rapper, Yo Gotti had the song "It's Going Down in the DM." Man, it's going down in the tunnel, man. Here we are, guys. The game is come and gone, and whether people feel good, feel bad. The reality is that we got some things that are going on. That's my mom shouting you out, Coach, saying thank you for that. Latasha's all smiling. She's loving it. But here we are, guys. I mean, I'm not going to really belabor this point. But at this point, based on the post-game, situation, there are a lot of things that have happened. A lot of, outcomes, including Coach Tucker suspending not just 4, but actually 8 of the players on the team. So we know that. Also, too, we got Coach Jim Harbaugh, really talking about, criminal charges being brought. Here's the update. Jacoby Wyndham, who's been probably every other week, Terry, defensive or player of the week. He's been like Big Ten player of the week, all those things. Malcolm Jones, Justin White.
Captain, too.
You say captain? Yeah. So I think that was Mel basically falling on his sword. But here's where I have a problem, guys, and I'll be willing to be open to any of our guests or any of our followers making a point. At what point do we get to this? And it's ironic, man. I was out having lunch downtown Lansing today, and I looked up on the wall at the place I was at. I was over at a place called Firehouse Sub. I know you probably know about Firehouse Sub, Terry.
Yes, sir.
That I had this image, but if you look up on the wall, and I don't have it on there, I can go find it. You look up on the wall, guys, there's an image of these firemen, but one is in green, one is in blue, and they're literally throwing an axe at each other. And then you look up in the clouds, it's the Capitol building, but you got one cloud is a Spartan, the other is a Wolverine. They're going after each other. Here's what I have to say. I don't condone my man taking off his helmet and hitting that dude. So accountability needs to take place. I understand that. But everybody was bought into this rivalry. Everybody's been bought into this rivalry. And it goes on. And here you are that the outcome of this rivalry is something that is a negative thing. But you can't turn around and pump these guys up year after year. Put them in this tunnel, which some could argue is a workplace hazard if you really want to get into legalese. And it was stated by, I see you nodding your head, we get you. It was stated by Coach James Franklin of Penn State, a well-respected Big Ten coach, just 2 weeks ago, saying what? something's going to happen in this tunnel. Now, I know some people argue, well, Michigan, it's been so long and there's been no issues in the tunnel for all these years. It don't matter. It's all about what's happening right now. And the last thing I'll say, man, if you really want to make it legal, well, I say the defense for Michigan State should be temporary insanity. That's an actual defense. Temporary insanity based on the trauma of being inside that tunnel and being tried. And the last thing I'll say, and I'll go to you, and get you, Terry, is there's a popular meme on social media where the guy say, you F around, you'll find out. So we can't go around saying it's okay to strike another person, do those things. But what part do we get to when we say the accountability for your actions? There's also culpability. Culpability is defined as what did you do to bring this about? Now, I'm not saying that it's all the Michigan guys' fault, but you cannot say everybody didn't play a role in what was going on, which is why they need to take back the stake. Look, it just hurts my heart to hear Jim Harbaugh on one breath saying Black Lives Matter, and he's marching with the kids, and he's saying all these things. I got you. Oh, that's it, right? Oh, and then you turn around, you want to call for somebody to get locked up for this game we play. Last thing I'll say, him pushing for that must speak to how bad the Wolverines have felt the last couple of years losing to Mel Tucker in Michigan State. They want to get back. Now, this is just a thought I've been having by talking to people. Oh, what you got for us, man?
Yeah. I just you get Harbaugh is wrong. The really the insinuation, the pushing for criminal charges is absolutely ridiculous. And it shouldn't occur. You've got an in-state rivalry. They've hyped this up, and you're absolutely correct, Lindsay. They created the environment. They created the logistical nightmare of trying to pump them through the tunnel at the same time. They created this. Now, in the Michigan State type, violence is we don't want any of that. You know, no violence whatsoever. But the point is that let Michigan State handle the punishment. For Harbaugh to come up and really come out. Let's just, he dropped a few nuggets and this and that. But when he comes, I mean, how many times did he say criminal charges? How many times did that come out of his mouth?
Yeah, he was pushing for that. Terry McCoy says always had issues in the tunnel, but this time was recorded. I agree. Latasha says never let them see you sweat. Have to be able to hold back, keep it moving. I agree. Terry, before I go to you, I want to say I can pull up something. I don't ever like to go back, particularly, for another person, particularly a man of color. I don't want to go back and point to Juwan Howard. Well, look what happened to Juwan Howard. But just a year ago, Juwan Howard smacked the mess out of another guy. And how was it dealt with? Suspensions, and they brought him back. And this was part of, and I won't even say that was part of a rivalry, but we looked past that, My mother said it was also the parents. Mother, when you say the parents as far as how they ended up playing a role, Terry, tell me what you're thinking about this.
No, I think you guys are hitting it right on the nail. I mean, just the fact that accountability by Michigan State, suspending the players indefinitely until things are solved, I think that's the right way to go. Mel Tucker releasing his statement saying that he doesn't, approve of this. This is not, motivated by him. They don't, they're not agreeing with the actions that were taking place. But I think also the accountability by Michigan. I mean, saying that it's our fault for having the tunnel. And I want to bring up a point that Ohio State has also had trouble in the tunnel as well. Like back in 2013, where players are yelling at each other, literally security is between both sides. Like their locker rooms, one locker room's here and the other one is right next to each other. They're right across from each other. So I think just poor placement as far as that. You look in the video, security is not even trying to get involved to break it up. Security was just standing there. One guy was.
We don't want no problem.
They didn't want none of that.
Didn't want any problems. But then I want to point out the video before where the guy.
Barber, he loved Michigan. He said sore losers. Period.
Well, the guy. Well, before Mr. Barber. So Michigan only beats bad Michigan State teams, and they want to beat the dead horse. So just want to say that. But the next thing, so the guy number one, I'm blanking on his last name. McBurrows. So, on the camera, he's trying to get through the tunnel while State's going. You see other Michigan players starting to make their way, but you see players turn them the other direction.
His so-called justification, Terry, just to try to be completely transparent, is that's his normal protocol after every game because his dad is a long-range trucker and he wants to get there and connect. Oh, you gonna be mad at this one, Terry? He said OSU is next.
They can believe that. They can believe that all they want to. But look, but my thing is for that situation.
Yeah,
though,
Bill. Shout out to my bro, Bill.
in situations like this, that stuff has to wait though, because of incidents like this, and just by the way he went through everybody, bro, is skipping through everybody, prancing around, skipping around. I'm like, dude, you got to understand, these players are hyped, they're upset.
Let me play devil's advocate, Terry. Is there something illegal about prancing? Is something immoral? Does a man have a right to prance?
Absolutely not.
Hey, no, absolutely not. But whenever he got in the tunnel, though, right, he didn't have to say nothing back to those MSU players. So I'm sure they said something first. But if you look and you zoom in, you see a blue helmet being swung first.
Yeah, there's talk. News reports that there was talk about that. Oh, Patricia England mom says, don't defend MSU. See, the problem is people are leading with their bias. Mother, we know you're a Wolverine.
Hold on, Lindsay, Terry, let me tell you this. Now, I've been coaching a long time. You starting to coach girls basketball. There was a time during a district championship game that I happened to lose by 1 point, that a small brawl broke out in the gym. just a melee. There's probably clips of it on YouTube still out there. I got called to the carpet. By, I'm getting MHSA, everything else. And I'm telling you, number one, what my defense was. The other school did not provide proper security and measures that would stop that. They had no security in the building. Very small quarters. And essentially, it was deemed the other school's fault. Mm-hmm. So that's my whole thing. Michigan has to take some sort of blame. You mentioned it early. Security was just standing there looking.
Because you know why? Because don't nobody want it with those guys at that point. Because they saying themselves, I cannot match up against this guy. This guy during this moment. And then just to talk about the rivalry for a second, players must be held accountable. Miss England, I do not disagree with that.
We agree. I agree. Absolutely.
Everybody agrees. But let me just paint this picture, man. We even talked about tunnels before this even came about. The most dangerous place in college sports has always been the tunnel. What's the term? Don't let me catch you in the tunnel. And you get in these situations where you build up this rivalry 2 weeks or more, a year to 2 weeks in advance. They reminded me of what happened when the Michigan player went on Michigan State's field in Spartan Stadium and kicked the dirt up and did all those things. They reminded us. They get us going. They put these guys in these situations. They say, kill, kill, kill. And then based on the irresponsibility of the adults who's supposed to be in charge, that was a protocol issue, man. That should have been, man, you can't go up in there right now. Okay? Why not? Because something might happen to you, period. And it kills me when we try to go from being so moral and so pious that, oh, no, these things can't happen. It's called the F around and find out syndrome. Now, should those guys have done it? No, but the reality is that you pump these guys up, and the primal nature of these young men came out in what was happening. Yeah, you could call them a sore loser, whatever you want. And then also the culture, too, to Mel's credit, a lot of the guys were saying stop or saying no. So at the end of the day, man, bring them in.
And one last thing, too. I feel like, and two things just to add, because I posted something about the thug comments and how Tucker endorses thug behavior and all this and that. That, to me, is out of line, because now you're coming for a coach's character by saying that he endorses that. That's not true. That's not who Mel Tucker is. But to come back and to support what you're saying about the venue and them taking, accountability for Travis Scott's concert. Remember the whole where people passed away and they collapsed?
Right.
That was NRG Stadium's fault. They did not provide enough security. They did not have enough barriers. They came out and came out and said that they were fined, or I think his concert got canceled for the tours or whatever. So that was NRG's fault, that they didn't have people there stopping the people. A lot of people were like, well, the people should know better, this and that. But if you're hosting a concert at a certain venue, you need to make sure you have enough security, have enough people and have enough guidelines and rules around this place, because that's your responsibility. You're making money off of this. You should be able to, make sure that it's ran properly. So I feel like that situation is kind of like this one.
Terry, what I like to say to that point is this. To prove your point that you made, I guarantee you there are going to be additional security measures in the tunnel for the next game. So what does that tell you? If they're going to make sure there are additional security measures in the tunnel no matter who they play next,
right,
that's confirming the fact that there needs to be additional support here. Now, if they turn around and say, oh, this thing manages itself, we don't need anybody there, we'll put the student intern up there, they'll be able to direct traffic and handle things. Right. No, it's going to be extra security and new protocols going in place because it needs to happen. So I won't belabor the point. And again, I'm the first to say, to my mother's point, players need to be held accountable, but somebody should not be getting criminal charges filed against them and going to jail for what happened in the rivalry game. And they've already set a precedent. We've already seen the precedent of fisticuffs with Juwan Howard smacking the hell out of that assistant coach. And I don't even want to bring that up, but sometimes you got to do to show the hypocrisy that's happening. And my mom says, with real security, that's not scared to step in. Well, that's going to be a hard one because ain't nobody trying to.
They ain't getting paid enough.
Yeah, unless they got rubber bullets, and we don't even want to get into all that.
Yeah.
So, guys, we won't beat a dead horse. In a short moment, we're going to have our guy Chuck Bailey join us. Buddy Love is going to be popping in a second. That's going to be a good thing, and we'll keep that going. So in the interim, before we get him to go in, Terry, here's your time of year, man. We get to talk about this college football playoff. And can you imagine we talk about a college football playoff ranking that doesn't have what? Bama, number one, Bama off to the side like the girl that's watching all the purses at the party, man. Talk about what's going on with this new college football poll that's come out.
Well, it wasn't too surprised. I was surprised Clemson was at 4 and that Michigan was left out. But Tennessee deserves to be number one. They'll have their test against Georgia, a little number 1 versus 3 action. But Georgia can't lose on Saturday, because if they lose on Saturday, I think with Tennessee beating Bama already this year, Tennessee has their win that will put them over anybody else. But Georgia doesn't have that. If Georgia loses that they lose their opportunity to have their game later on, because then if they beat Tennessee, they'll win their division, and then they'll probably play Alabama in the championship game. Winner or loss, Georgia is in the playoffs. But I feel like right now, if Georgia loses, they won't be in that game. And if Alabama beats Tennessee will be at 1. They'll be at 3, along like how Georgia was last year when they were undefeated and they lost an SEC championship game. They got moved to 3, and they'll probably play the winner of the Big Ten championship game if it's Michigan or Ohio State. So similar storylines like last year, but Georgia surprisingly is in the seat where they don't have margin of error. They have to win out. They have to be perfect. Or at least, they can lose the SEC championship game. But my rankings are, I have Tennessee 1, Ohio State 2, Georgia 3, Michigan 4, Alabama 5, and I have Clemson at 6. And to be honest, I don't think Clemson's that good of a football team. Clemson showed this whenever they played Syracuse, they benched their starting quarterback and started their true freshman quarterback, who, yes, he's highly ranked and was one of the top players coming in at his position. But still, just to show that you're still not sure that your team, your offensive unit is able to compete with your starting quarterback and at this late in the season, shows concerns that stability is going to be an issue for Clemson. And to me, they're not better than Bama right now, even though Bama suffered that loss against Tennessee. They're not better than Michigan. I just feel like Clemson has a lot more question marks. Yes, they're undefeated, but to me, I feel like quality of team matters more. And you can say strength of schedule. Yes, Michigan, those non-conference games hurt them. Playing Hawaii, Colorado State, and all these Mountain West teams, that does hurt you. But to me, that shouldn't hurt you that much to put a team that has shown struggles, shown vulnerability, but still winning games. So you got to give them credit for it. But to me, Michigan is a lot better football team than Clemson is. But it sucks because Clemson won't play a team like Ohio State's caliber their whole year. Michigan does. So, yes, you can say Michigan has opportunity to have that key win and win the Big Ten and then have a guaranteed playoff spot. But also what it shows is that all Clemson has to do is just win out, and they can get in the playoffs without really playing anybody and having games where they almost lose to really bad teams.
Yeah,
I'm really
Will
shocked
Barber says correct. So
I'm
despite his Michigan love and your Ohio State love, he can agree with you when you make a good point. I'm sorry, Orlando. What are you gonna say?
I'm just kind of shocked at Terry because I would have bet the farm that Ohio State would have been number one.
That caught me too. He said, "Yeah, Ohio State number 2."
Right?
Yeah.
But right now we at a good spot. Right now, Tennessee to me is being dominant. They beat Alabama. Alabama at their high. I mean, yes, Bryce Young coming off an injury the week before, but Tennessee beating Alabama. I don't care if it's at home. Tennessee has the better win and deserves to be number one right now. They're killing it.
That's only true, Orlando, because it's a couple more weeks left.
I just want to hear him say it. So you're saying Tennessee is a better team than Ohio State?
I believe. Hey, you know what? And I'll say this. I feel like Ohio State. We can only play the teams that's on our schedule. We haven't played a team on the caliber of Alabama. We got to reward teams for playing better teams. And I feel like that's why Michigan, I'll say it, I'll be honest, Michigan should be 4 right now, right behind Georgia, because like I said with Clemson, the committee is showing that they're rewarding teams like Clemson for playing these schedules and just winning out. Clemson has proven that they've been vulnerable and almost lost games to very bad teams. Syracuse losing to Notre Dame, and everyone's critiquing Ohio State about Notre Dame. But that same Notre Dame team beat Syracuse, who gave Clemson a run for their money. So it's all about, man, right now they need to give the best team that we've seen. And yes, the reason why I give Tennessee the edge right now is because they beat a high caliber team like Alabama. But Ohio State will have our chance to beat Michigan at the end of the season, which would then put us at 1, in my opinion. So then we'll be 1, and then the loser, and right there, SEC bias, sure, but I feel like Tennessee right there should be 1. But when we beat Michigan at the end of the year, we'll be 1.
So what you're saying is Tennessee is better right now.
Tennessee has the best win right now and deserves to be 1.
I can't get him to say it, Lindsay. I cannot.
I think we're the better team. I think we're the better team by far. But Tennessee has the best. I can't say by far. Excuse me. But I feel like they have the best win right now. Our best win as of this year is Penn State. Tennessee's best win is Alabama. Alabama's right there at 5. So I gotta be honest. It's only because it's the first rankings right now.
Orlando,
we still have weeks to go.
You know Terry rather throw up in his own mouth before he turn around and say that they're not the best team. You know he's not.
But we gotta be honest though. We gotta be honest. And yes, even though if Tennessee may lose Saturday, I'm talking about as of Tuesday night, who has the best win and who has looked the best. Tennessee looked the best and against their best win. So they deserve to be number 1 right now. But thank the Lord Almighty that we have other weeks to come to show that we're the better team, and our better win will show, because I do think Tennessee will lose to Georgia, and Georgia will show why they should be 1, because they're going to play against each other. So Tennessee should be 1 right now.
My guy Ed Banks said Tennessee will lose to Georgia. They will not go into Georgia and win. So what you say about that? But no, let's go back to what Ron had. He said for you. What is your concern for Bryce Young at the pro level, and how does Hendon Hooker project at the pro level? What do you think about those two?
Well, Bryce Young, I think I have to bring up the height, because we've seen so many smaller quarterbacks getting, with Kyler, which Kyler, they have plays designed for him to roll out and get out the pocket. But Baker Mayfield, Russell Wilson, these smaller quarterbacks, I think Bryce Young has an arm talent and to make things happen. Definitely one of the best improvisers in the game. As far as college and being able to run, Hendon Hooker as well. I think Hooker right now, he's definitely benefiting from their play style. They're running hurry up offense. They take a lot of deep shots. I guess we just have to wait and see. It's all systems that will have to prove if they fit their team that they're drafted by. And so I feel like it all depends on draft level. But as far as like who's the top 5 picks of the draft, of who will go first. But I mean, as far as pro level, I think Hendon Hooker is definitely pro level. I think Bryce Young is pro level since last year, but I think this year his ability to lead this Bama team, I think Bryce Young may be the most valuable player to his team, in my opinion. I think he's one of the most valuable players, if I'm honest.
Yeah. Well, what we're gonna do is we're gonna move along a little bit. There's some more college football news. Interim head coach, former Tampa Bay Buccaneer, first-round draft pick Cadillac Williams has been named Auburn football's interim head coach. You wonder if there's whispers of a Saban-Sanders matchup, that if this interim is just only temporary to see if they can get primed to come from Jackson State to Auburn. I don't know if Auburn is ready for prime. It's still a conservative movement, but he's right down that way. But that's a whole different set of resources, and that really levels the playing field. Also, shout out to Ed Banks again. He said best QB might be at Ohio State. That was hard for me to say. Hey, I know it's hard for you to say, but don't say it to Terry.
I think so too.
Hey! You putting the battery in Terry back, Ed? Come on, man.
I wish CJ Stroud had the ability to run like Bryce Young has, but the arm talent, I think is CJ. CJ's got it, in my opinion.
So, what do you guys think about this new interim post for Coach Cadillac Williams? What do you think about that, Terry?
Well, I mean, right now, coming in, Auburn's 3-5 and 1-4 in the SEC. They're not competing for about anything but bowl eligibility. And I think for me, Cadillac coming in, I think you just have to figure out where your football team's at, as far as like a psychological standpoint. So just like, where's the football team at? Is your team hungry? Do they want to win and try and compete? You still have a chance to beat your rival at the end of the year during rivalry week against Alabama. So where's your team at? I think is the biggest question. If he's in there long term, I think recruiting is going to be a big question mark because, I mean, he's been a positions coach, so he is considered to be a good recruiter is what I've read. He's able to recruit guys for his position, but now he's recruiting for the whole team. So I think a huge adjustment because you got to get guys that can compete. And I think for me, seeing the way that Tennessee has transformed their program, it started in recruiting. I mean, time and time again, Tennessee has placed top 10, in recruiting and getting these top guys in their programs and building them up. And I feel like Auburn can do the same thing. But now they're competing with Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee now, and now LSU's rising up. So just a ton of competition that starts with getting good guys and transfer portal. Like you got to be able to recruit. But one thing I read about where Cadillac's mindset with him coming in, he just wants to be able to just give his team the best chance to win coaching wise and his team to have the best output. So he's not really concerned about winning, which of course sounds crazy. He would love to have a win, but he just wants Auburn to play their best football, which we haven't seen all year. And so I think that's where he's at as far as getting his guys to play and show a little bit of pride, man. He was on that team, and my dad reminded me about with Jason Campbell and all those guys on that team where they were on probation and couldn't play. They were undefeated. They couldn't compete for a national championship, but just a little bit of Auburn pride in there and just taking over to see who you get. But Deion, I feel like Auburn wouldn't be it. I say give Deion about 1 or 2 more years so we look at a Power 5 job, but I mean, Auburn might give him a check that he can't deny. So I might be a little too early.
Who wants to give you your flowers now? Terry's really a football expert. I'm in awe. Just watching.
I appreciate that. See, somebody know I'm talking about the right stuff. See?
Yeah. Here's the problem I have with the interim situation for Cadillac Williams. This is a problem I got Orlando, and I'm becoming a little sophisticated with this. Why y'all always get a brother the job when the team's in the doldrum?
In the dumping. The very first black head coach in Auburn history.
Yeah, so he has an insurmountable task to be able to overcome. And then, if he's not able to be successful by unrealistic standard, they say, hey, we gave him a shot at half. It's like, but that goes back to what, thank you, Terry McCoy. See, you say thank you. You feel me? I'm getting a little mature. I'm peeping game out here. And then what'll happen is they'll say, well, these guys can't get the job done.
We gave the brother a shot.
Success. Set up for success. We're going to be joined in one moment by a good friend of ours right now, a familiar face. We got Buddy Love in the building. We got Chuck Bailey.
Buddy.
Yeah,
right. buddy.
He's back again.
Buddy.
From a place he's over at the Motor City Smoothie Company. I want to thank you for supporting SPS in the past and always being supportive, man. We happy to have you here today. Shout out to your folks, man, over at Motor City Smoothie Company. One location, soon to be two. Chuck, what's the address on Jefferson again of Motor City?
13222 East Jefferson, Detroit, Michigan, 48215, Lower East Side, down by the riverside.
We go. Somebody asking a question about you already. Chuck Bailey, did you play in the Marcus Taylor, Jason Richardson, K. Tolbert, Wally Maurice? Okay, all these names. Brent Darby here.
Yeah.
I'm sure I missed some names. Yeah, this is Chuck Bailey.
Sure that is me. That's me. He named some bad fellas right there. There was some
let me go
guys had some pain, man. I was just, man. It was little old me, man. Them guys had game right there, baby.
Marcus Taylor, Jason Richardson, Kelvin Tolbert, Robert Whaley, Maurice Seawright, Anthony Pieper, Roberson, Jaquan Hart, Brent Darby.
Them my guys. Them all my guys right there, baby.
So introduce yourself as it relates to your basketball background. I mean, I know you've been on the show. It's been more than a year, but just so people who are checking in, talk about your basketball pedigree right now.
I mean, I played high school basketball here in Michigan. Played at the Martin Luther King High School. Played at the University of Michigan for 2 years. Then I transferred once we kind of went through the scandal. I don't know what accolades you want to tell me. I don't really do the accolades and stuff like that. I don't really talk about that. I don't really like to talk about all that, man. I don't really like to, I let other people say that, man. But I did pretty good in high school, man. Especially my senior year is when I had a breakout year, man. When I really turned it on. But went overseas.
Okay.
Yeah, went overseas. Played 9 years overseas. Throughout everywhere. Yep, I played with LaVelle. Yeah, that's my guy. Yep, I played LaVelle at Michigan.
So what we'll do, we'll move the calendar around a little bit.
Big bro.
For the remainder of the time. But Chuck, one of the reasons why I reached out to you, and I appreciate you always responding well, is some change that happened in CB3, Chuck Bailey III, your son, who we saw, get international fame when he was on the cover of Slam magazine, being part of the Donda Doves. That's CB3 right there in the front. It would be on the right, wearing number 2. And now, because of all that's been happening with Kanye, obviously, he's going to be leaving Donda Academy, and he'll be making his way back to Michigan. So you were so gracious enough to say that you would be willing to talk to us about, the pros and cons of, these academies and whatnot. And before we even get to that, can you talk about that call you had with ESPN a little while ago before you got on with us?
They were just asking questions, trying to figure out. Actually, I had 2, one with Fox News and one with ESPN. They were just trying to figure out, pretty much like everybody else, what happened, what went on, what was, I guess, the rise and fall of Donda Academy. Just trying to figure out what really was going on behind the scenes, because a lot of parents really couldn't really talk. I was one of the few, probably the only one who was smart enough, being from the East Side, to sign an NDA.
That non-disclosure. Well, take some time with us now, and from your perspective and what you're willing to share, walk us through that. And the first thing I want to say is, for anybody who want to say, "Oh, I wouldn't have sent my kid to play for Kanye West," first of all, your kid probably wouldn't have got the phone call. So you can't really say what you wouldn't have did if you wouldn't even got the call to begin with. So let's talk about that. And so I just want to put that out there, because they always got the people want to say something after the fact. But walk us through that.
People they're gonna say what they're gonna say, man. It is what it is. But when you get that call, man, at 10:30 at night, and you hear Michigan, and you get the call of Kanye saying they taking a liking into your child at the time when Lil Chuck was, okay, so if we start back go from the start. He was here in Michigan as a freshman, and COVID hit. So when COVID hit, I sent him and his brother and his mom. I sent them to Arizona. They went out there. Well, Chuck went to Arizona first, and because that was on the school system or area that was actually playing ball. So basketball is like a religion in our home. So from my father to myself. So I sent him out to Arizona, and he had some success out there. He was one of the top players in Arizona, led the state in scoring. He was able to, open. Yeah, he led the state in scoring. Wow. Yeah, as a sophomore. He led the state in scoring. I think he averaged like 29 a game or 30. It was something between 29 and 30 a game. And he had some success. So, we was on our way to going back to Higley High School, which was the school he was going to, and we got the call. He was rising, he was an emerging star on the West Coast, and they reached out to us, and was like, here it is. We got Kanye West. He's interested in your son. He's building this program. He's going to build this mega platform for them to where he can increase his earning potential, possibly, or from a collegiate standpoint and potentially a professional level. So me being, knowing a little bit about what was going on, what I'm saying? I was like, I asked Lil Chuck, this is what he want to do? And he was like, yeah, let's try it out. Let's take the gamble. You know what I'm saying? I mean, of course they, was talking good, and everything he was saying was sweet. So, and that's pretty much how I went, man.
So
a lot of promises, a lot of broken promises. But
how are you guys handling, for the lack of a better term, the fallout or the transition that has to happen? Because obviously, that program is not operating the way it was planned to be right now. There's a lot of controversy around Kanye. So when you talk about giving advice to other parents about these type of situations, probably nothing like a Kanye situation,
Yeah. I mean, this situation kind of like a 1 in a million, 1 in a billion chance, situation, man. Like you'll probably never had no situation ever happen like this with no kids and basketball, and like it was just it's like this probably had never happened. So we can't really. I don't really want to judge. You can't really give advice on something like this to a parent. You know what I mean? Because I don't see nothing like this ever happening again, where they shut down, where a guy can be the most hated person. He can turn around and make the whole world hate him in a week. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Like I don't see that happening. You know what I'm saying? I don't see that ever happening. Nothing like this ever happening again. So I can't. But as far as the prep school, what I can say at the prep school level is make sure your child is ready for it. You know what I mean? Because at prep school level, that's a different monster. It ain't like your traditional high school basketball. It's called prep school. So the kids are pretty much kind of treated just like, they preparing them for college, where it's like some programs, I don't want to say, but the top tier programs, the kids are like, it's like a farm system. You bringing them in every year. You know what I'm saying? You got to make sure your child is a dog. You know what I'm saying? If he ain't no dog, he can, it ain't number wolves that come to prep school. You know what I'm saying? So if your child ain't certified, and if your child kind of soft or whatever, I wouldn't. And you as a parent gotta assess that. Like, look, I don't know if my kid ready. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't advise parents to send their kid to prep school until they maybe their senior year. You know what I'm saying? Where they everything is So I sent Lil Chuck as a junior. It was an eye opener for him. You know what I'm saying? He got to see some things early on, but he was able. He was ready for it. You know what I'm saying? The only thing he wasn't ready for was the political part, was the politics of dealing with. If it was any other prep school, he'd have been, it'd have been perfect. You know what I'm saying? It'd have been cool for him. But the mere fact that it was the political part of being part of, the whole Donda, experience. And we want to call it the Donda experience. You know what I mean? Where the blue checks are the ones who play. Whoever got, that's pretty much what it kind of came down to.
Those who may not know, those who are verified on Twitter or social media, they got a lot of information swirling on the media around them. Like they're considered the most high profile player.
Yeah. So that's pretty much how that situation and a lot of the top programs be like that sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Like it's the politics. The politics, you gotta play certain players because they can be stinking up the gym, but they gotta play because
if they make a big investment in the player and you got a role player on the bench.
Absolutely. Yeah. Some of those prep schools be set up like that. Some of those prep schools be set up like that. Some of those prep schools.
So as a father, how is Chuck?
I'm sorry, we closed. We got some people coming to the door.
Are they trying to get up in there? I know we don't want to stop.
They want them a smoothie at 7:00 at night. We closed though.
Yeah, check this out. So my question is also, how has Chuck grown from this experience? That's your son, that's your baby boy. How have you seen him have growth from not only just going out there, but from dealing with the fallout that's happening now?
It just make him stronger, make him tougher. You know what I'm saying? This whole experience hasn't done nothing but made him tougher. You know what I'm saying? Made him more of a dog, it's grown him up, it actually has grown, has grown him up. You know what I'm saying? It's made him mature, you know what I'm saying, as a young man. Being on his own.
How tall is he now? And what's his weight? What's his specs now?
Chuck about 6'4.5", 6'5". He about 190 pounds, 95 pounds, somewhere. He's a nice side, big guard. He a big guard.
Big guard.
Yeah, he a big guard.
I remember seeing the confidence he had playing before he left. And I can only imagine coming back, man. I don't really know of anybody I've seen, and we'll talk about, starting high school hoops again with all the great things that Derek Coleman has going on, Horatio Williams and whatnot. I just don't know anybody who really had the confidence and swag that he may have had. Shout out to Robert. We know how Rob was swagged out.
Yeah.
But I just don't know. Here are some events that are coming up. Shout out to Derek Coleman.
Tell DC.
That's
tell DC you might have to add a game to that, baby.
Oh, so you have one?
So we want some of that. We coming back. He said there, he texted me, he said there, wherever school we go to, man, we need to be in everything because I need to, I gotta let everybody know, what it is.
For the record, Lil Chuck had 15 Division I offers that, kind of turned away temporarily, we'll say, I guess. Made that change. So he's definitely on everybody's radar.
Absolutely. High majors, Big 12, Big 10, quite a few schools, man. So right now it's just, trying to brush off this situation and just, keep it moving. You know what I'm saying? Now we in a different market. We back home, which is it's funny because it's funny how life is, man, because when we left, we always thought about him coming home for his senior year. It's funny how God works, man, because I used to say that. I'm like, man, maybe if everything goes in his favor, you know what I'm saying, if he commit by, we get an early commitment by his junior year, then, he's gonna come home, you know what I'm saying, and play with his little brother. Because he got a little brother, my youngest son, Drew. He goes to Country Day. And
what grade is Drew in?
He's a freshman this year.
Okay.
Yeah, he's a freshman at Country Day. So he always said, if everything goes as planned, I want to come home for my senior year and potentially, possibly play with my little brother or something like that. But
I know all the coaches blowing you up saying, hey, bring him over here, man.
Yeah. It's funny because a lot of these coaches, I got a lot of good, a lot of these coaches are my boys. These are my friends. These guys I play with, guys that we, I do business with, I've done business with, you know what I'm saying? These are my friends. So it's always, it's a situation where I try to give them all when it terms of just seeing what their schooling part has to offer, you know what I'm saying, and from an educational standpoint, and making sure, because at Donda, the schooling, I don't want to say it was poor or nothing like that. I ain't even gonna say that. I just want to say it wasn't things weren't ran properly. So it just want to make sure whatever school he does go to, they can accommodate him from an academic standpoint and make sure he stay on track to graduate and stuff like that from high school and be ready and be NCAA certified.
Yeah, that's important. Chuck, we want to keep you as we keep talking about these issues. As we say, we're going to bring back, high school basketball is getting ready to kick off soon. This is the 2-day event taking place through the Rachel Williams Foundation. It's a huge lineup, day 1 and day 2. I just got a post from Nikki C on my Facebook saying no cash tech. Look, I don't have nothing to do with that. Steve probably on that one. So
oh my God! They put my why they ain't got Steve? Why Steve ain't in it?
Well, here's a question. Just the other day, I went over to the Loft to see Green Gymnasium at River Rouge and interviewed the new head coach. That's
my brother right there. That's my brother, Joe. That's my brother.
Good coach Carr. That's right, Joe Carr. Talk about him and what do you think it's going to be like for him leading this new River Rouge program going forward?
I think Joe gonna do a good job, man. He been, it's funny because it's back to what I say. Like, all the coaches are my boys. These like my brothers. These, some of them like Joe. Me and Joe go back to like 10 years old playing over on the east side of Joy Jesus. You know what I'm saying? So, like, we go back a long ways. And in fact, when he first, like, this coach, and I was one of the ones that, telling him, like, man, you need to come on over here and, he started off with the AAU thing. And I'm like, man, you can do this. He like, no, CB, you know what I mean? And I'm like, no, Joe, this you, dog, this you. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, to see, his progress is like, man, like, it's super dope, man. Because I know that's my guy.
He got a great job that he wasn't necessarily even looking for. Coach Baker ended up leaving, and he ended up being the guy they thought of. So with that, stay with us, Chuck. We're going to keep talking about basketball. Terry and Orlando, you guys got anything for Chuck as we get ready to transition?
I think the biggest question I have is, like, so with him moving out there, how was, like, the social life? Did he get along with his teammates, and, like, how did he stay rooted in, like, working hard always, but then, like, was he making friends with the players? And, like, how was that being so far away from home? Because I'm guessing, like, you was back in Detroit. So, like, how was he, like, with him being so far away?
So at Donda or in Arizona, which one? Because he was in Arizona. Yeah. I mean, I think Chuck did. I mean, he did a good job, man. Chuck is like Chuck is like what's the right word to say? He was like at Donda, they say he was like the I ain't gonna say the old man of the team, but like he was like the mature one of the team. So like like he kind of made everything kind of move, and he was like, and then on top of having a personality and then being from Detroit, you know what I'm saying? Like, people don't understand, like, that Detroit tag is different, man. Like, when you from Detroit, man, like the expectations of you is high, everything. You feel me? So, what I mean, being that and on top of just being who he is, man, he met all his boys. He met a lot of friends, man. He played this summer. He played with Strive for Greatness with LeBron James, with little Bronny James. So them, he made friends with them guys, man. So he definitely built some relationships that's gonna last down the line a long time, you know what I'm saying? Where, this, and a lot of people don't understand, man, like, this basketball, like, it's like a small, it's like I ain't gonna say it's small, it's a big fraternity, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know how many guys I done ran into when I played against in Little League, and then 30 years down the line, I see, we meet up, and I might have played it against him in the tournament in Indiana, and I done ran into him in Los Angeles, or I done ran into him in Florida somewhere 30 years down the line. So, he definitely built some relationships with all his teammates, man. Them his guys, they love him. They are, they love him.
No, that's cool. That's
cool. Staff, man. Good kid, man.
First a good kid. I want to say thank you for taking the time to talk to us. Just really as a parent, because I know that you've got to be inundated with calls for your overtime sports, your other academies. How are you handling? Because you've got to be getting 100 phone calls, if not more, a day.
All day long. I can't even lie. Like all day long, my phone going off from especially with all of this, everybody trying to find out what's going on. From the ESPNs to the USA Todays, everybody want to know because I'm one of the only ones who, like I say, didn't sign an NDA. So, and then not only on top of that, all my coaching buddies, all my boys think, they all think, man, he better come here. He need to come here. Like, dog, I can't. You know what I'm saying? It's only one kid, man. If I had 20 kids, man, I sit them all and give each one of y'all one. You know what I'm saying?
So, you say that in Orlando this timely. I keep hearing this comment about kind of going back to coaching. Why don't all these guys come back and coach in the PSL? You know, Joe Carr being one of them. I'm saying, well, first of all, ain't enough spots in the PSL. Right. Cass got a coach, King got a coach, Rennie. I mean, it goes on, but also too when people try to make that argument, oh man, he should be with Detroit Public Schools or something like that. As a proud alumni of Detroit Public Schools, my point is it's only one young man that can go one place, and you got to go to place that's the best fit, and it just may not necessarily be who you guys think it is because it's so popular. So that's another thing that comes up with that. Chuck, we're going to keep you, man. We're going to get into 2 other segments, man. That's going to include talking a little NBA stuff. We got the breaking news, of course. There's an update on Miles Bridges. He's going to face 3 years of probation with no jail time after pleading no contest to a felony. That's from Hoop Scoop, and I did see that online as well. Also, too, Eric Booman Johnson said, hey, man, y'all got to talk about Kyrie Irving drama.
My God, Kyrie, baby.
So before we get to Kyrie, let's go ahead and get into this next segment, which is going to be about the Brooklyn Nets overall, because the big story up until a day ago was seems like Nash is out, Ime is in. But you talk about somebody living their life, man. How you gonna go from having relations at your job, turn around and get fired or get suspended, then turn around and get one of the best jobs, and he ain't missed a beat. Ime. So I know it hasn't been a signed, sealed, delivered deal, but all roads are pointing to that Ime Udoka is going to be next coach of the Brooklyn Nets. Chuck, we'll start with you. We got you here, man. How do you think that's going to work out for him?
I did not have sexual relations with that woman. No, I don't know, man. You know what? You know what I'm saying? You knew he was good, man. He's a good coach, man. Like, people make mistakes all the time, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, people make mistakes. Yeah, we do. Latasha, was it Prince? Yes, we do need him with the Pistons for sure. But people make mistakes.
No. She ain't repping the Pistons. She repping the
Celtics. Celtics, man.
The Celtics. Oh, dang. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, I thought she was talking. I thought that was a Detroit fan right there. Because we do need him. No, the Lions need him. No. But yeah, I mean, he just made mistakes. I mean, he's human. That's all I can say, man. So
do you see him being a plug and play type coach where he could just be removed from the Celtics, go right over to this other Eastern Conference potential powerhouse with KD, Kyrie, and others, and have great success immediately?
I think so. I mean, I think so. The biggest thing is Kyrie, man. That's the biggest thing is Kyrie Irving. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the you gotta get dog on. If you get dog right, man, like, but we'll talk about that. You know what I'm saying?
No, let's talk about it now. We own it right now. Ron and others have made comments, including Eric as well as Hoop Scoop. So y'all on Hoops, what's y'all thoughts on Adam Silver's statement on Kyrie Irving, Kyrie's press conference today? The Nets stuff is a mess. Well, I would just say that it is tough, and there's a lot of back and forth. I mean, you really want to talk about comments, you got to go back the other night to what Shaq and Charles said about
Kyrie. Saying some crazy stuff.
I thought them calling him an idiot was totally out of order.
Yeah.
But it also says these are the same guys who just signed that extended contract that we talked about a little while ago. them $100 million deals. And when you sign $100 million deals with certain companies, you come out with certain talking points to let people know where you are. I think the whole thing is going to blow over. I think what's happening with Kyrie and all that is Kyrie being Kyrie. That goes back to when they won the championship in Cleveland and JR was being JR with his shirt off, not Kyrie got his shirt off. So it's almost like Kyrie be looking to get in where he fit in, and he pulls from whatever information he has. Ed Banks, that's my guy. He said, can't trust Kyrie. I don't think he in love with basketball like he once was. I look at that as saying I do agree with not trusting him. It's like he's always going to find something that's going to be a distraction to be an issue. What you thinking about this, Orlando?
He's like that small child grabbing for attention constantly. And he can't be trusted. He can't be trusted. And the whole team, the whole situation over there is a mess. Really God help whoever ends up in that job.
It's like you got a bunch of bitter players over there.
Yeah.
They can't get right.
All of them bitter, man. KD bitter, Kyrie bitter.
Yeah.
I mean,
Eric was asking about the press conference. I did see the press conference. It gave Kyrie what he wanted. It gave him a time to be able to focus on something that he can kind of stand out in that's not necessarily on basketball. To be honest, I'm kind of over it. The NBA is backtracking. They're having, certain clergymen and rabbis come on and talk, but they're not having real dialogue. It's talking points. They're not having somebody opposite challenging what some of the comments are to really come about. Because the reality, let's just face it, man, in America, there's never any real dialogue about Black and Jewish relations, particularly financially. Chuck, you're a business owner. I mean, I can talk to you all day about the power of economics and how one community is, they say on average, their household is about 100,000+, and you got an African-American household at 20,000. I mean, those are the conversations that people want to have, but they're not going to have because you're considered anti-Semitic if you say anything referring to Jewish people. I'm
looking out my window right now, and I see exactly what you're talking about. You go on this side of Arthur Road, 20,000. You go right across the street, the average income is 120 some thousand. I'm looking at it right now. I'm literally looking at it.
So I think until we have those kind of conversations, what we see in the news, man, just gonna be clickbait. It's just gonna go back and forth, and it allows the Shaquille O'Neals of the world. And I'm just going to say it, man. I laughed at this. Somebody said Chuck and Charles, Shaquille and Chuck new name is Shuck and Jiving because they be just going back and forth. Now, you can argue that one way or the other, man, but some of the stuff they say, man, I really wonder, what did he say? Shaq made a comment years ago with the whole Jimmy John's pizza, Papa John's. He said, oh, no, let me get involved. Let me get on the board. I can help bring Black people around. I mean, he spoke to that. So I think sometimes, man, these guys can become gatekeepers to a degree because we see them all the time. But in many cases, they promote some discussions that are not necessarily overall in the best interest of the African American community. Let me check on a few of these comments real quick. Ed Banks said we need to talk about the young kid that got released from the Spurs. I guess he was exposed himself to women for long. Yeah, his psychologist said he exposed himself 9 times, and she's showing him. Melissa jumped in. Hey, Melissa, she said Shaq and Charles are puppets. They're getting that long, long bag, So that's my thoughts on that. What else you guys have, man, while we talking basketball right now?
I just feel like that there's just no accountability in that organization. Nobody answers to anybody there. And I feel like any championship organization that you've seen is always a level of understanding where, okay, like I hear you, I understand where you're coming from, but we got to move in the best direction of the team. Like Kyrie, his mind is not even near basketball right now. And it shows. Like the game before, a couple of days ago, scored like 4 points. I mean, it's just like he's not all the way there, and we're seeing it spill into his gameplay, which of course, I mean, where you're at mentally is going to be seen on the court. And so I feel like Kyrie's not there. He feels like he doesn't need to answer to anybody. But I think the problem for me is that Kyrie can have his views. Kyrie can feel how he feels, but there's no level of level of explanation with it. Like he's not telling us why he feels this way. He's doing all this research, but he's not telling us. Part of it is because he feels like we will never understand. And I think when you get that level of isolation and feeling like something that others don't, and you don't want to say it, then it's like there's no point of saying that. Then you're held at fault, because then you allow what you said or what you shared on social media to be left with interpretation by us. So now we get to take it how we want to take it, because you won't explain why you did it. And so with him saying like, I didn't promote it. When you share something like with us, like like when we send the podcast out, I'm promoting the podcast through my social media. And so for him, he just has to understand, man, whenever you say these things, there does have to be a level of explanation with that, because you have influence, you represent a team, but there's just no accountability in that. The Nets can't tell Kyrie, you should feel accountable for your actions because it represents us, yourself, and your family. No one can have that conversation with Kyrie because he's so far off. No, he doesn't listen to anybody really.
Yeah.
And that's just, but that's the whole.
Go ahead, Chuck.
No, but that's the same thing that Kanye is on. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's the same thing, man. It's like they don't. It's like when you they so wealthy, they so rich to where they don't, sometimes they don't think like they don't think about the people that's up under their family, their friends, their employees. You know what I'm saying? They just make comments based upon however they feeling at the time. But and, you know, I really do think Kyrie is suffering from the same mental situation that Kanye is. You know what I'm saying? It's like a group of them. You know what I'm saying? They all kind of, you know, they you know, to a degree, I see what you're trying to say, or I'm trying to understand what you're trying to say, but you know, you just going about things the wrong way.
You set off so many alarms in the process of it that I can't even get a chance to lock in on your comments because you didn't set off all these other alarms.
Like we talk about Kanye, man. Like why would you? Like, okay, we all know what's up. Everybody know what's up. We all know what's up. Everybody know what's up, man. And I made a comment not too long ago. I said, man, we're about another 20 billionaires away before you can really, and not, you know, before you can really.
You posted that. I saw that.
Yeah, I'm like, we're not like probably about 20 more billionaires away before you can, you know, figure out, you know, okay, before you want to make a move, you know. So you standing alone. Yeah, you standing alone. You ain't. You look how they took.
Look what they can do. They can cancel. They can start pulling stuff.
Yeah. They cancel.
Everybody else is shook. Everybody else is quiet because they don't want to venture off into that. Compared to, like you said, you got 19 other people you can lean on, or say, "No, we ain't gonna do that." You know, we ain't gonna do that. That's
you move in silence. You move in silence. You move underground. You know, you ain't doing nothing. They just what they doing is, you know.
We're getting a lot of people requesting more discussion on that whole Josh Primo situation. All I know is that he's been having a therapy sessions with a psychologist, and supposedly in that session, up to 9 times he's exposed himself. And I don't think there's describe that.
I just don't. That right there don't sit. That don't sit real. That don't sit well with me. That don't sit well with me. Huh? Have she been making these allegations?
She said she's been trying to let people know, but they haven't done anything about it.
I think they said they told her to just avoid them, and you know that a write-up is coming soon. And then I think his lawyer.
So after the first, so my thing is after the first one, why did you keep accepting them? Like why is it that he keep guys the opportunity? Oh, so it's like if somebody do something that I don't like, it makes me feel uncomfortable. And I'm not like by no means am I trying to take up for this young man. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just trying to understand it. You know what I'm saying? Like if something makes me uncomfortable, why do I keep going? Like, you know what? Dog he done flashed me and you know what? Y'all send him to another therapist. Don't send him to me. Y'all send him to another therapist because he already did what he did to me, and I'm not feeling uncomfortable. But he got 9 times, so he was able to go to her 9 more times after that. That don't make sense to me. That don't make sense to me. That ain't making sense to me.
Said the same thing. Why you do? They said what they should They should have got him a male psychologist.
Male psychologist, exactly.
Yeah.
That sounds like somebody trying to get down. I mean, what's she trying to say? I mean, I thought about it. I'm like, dang, did he physically?
She's filing a suit, so there's a financial aspect to this too. She said she's suing them. So it could have been she kept getting those checks and said, I'm going to deal with it because they will pay her. And then that's 9 sessions she got paid for plus. Or if she has other clients on the team, so she has this, relationship with them, and she's kind of managing that.
So this lady, because I'm just seeing a little bit. She was a physical therapist. What was she?
Oh, she was a psychologist. Mm-hmm. Not a therapist.
So she had So he had to actually book and schedule a meeting to go see her, and then when he go to the meeting is when he would pull up.
Yeah, he would. That
don't make sense. That don't make sense.
It just seems like she had been getting. I thought that she had been getting paid all those times, and finally decided to do that. Melissa says she's a white woman too. Let me shut up. I agree with Chuck. Melissa.
Right, like no, that don't make sense to me. That definitely don't make sense to me. That sounds like somebody trying to get a couple dollars.
His lawyers are firing back that she inflicted trauma on him.
Oh wow.
So it sounds like it sounds like they had a relationship going and she got mad. That's what it sounds like. They had a relationship going and she didn't got mad, and now. And so I guarantee she gonna say he sent her pictures. Guaranteed that. There's gonna be some pictures. I guarantee that's gonna
come out. We're gonna keep an eye on it. Well, at this point, man, we've pretty much gone through everything. Terry, we didn't get the NFL update, but we had an hour and a half. What do you think about the NFL update? Can you pull it off now, or do we push that back?
I mean, the only thing I have an update about, just so the trade that the Dolphins made with the 49ers for them to trade up and get Trey Lance. So 3 of those first round picks, I just wanted to point it out to everybody if you haven't heard of it. So one of those first round picks, they traded down to get Jalen Waddle. They used one of those picks to get Tyreek Hill, and they used one of them to get Bradley Chubb, who they just extended today. So it just shows you, man, like draft picks only go so well. Same with the Lions. Like, you trade in draft picks away. You use them as capital. You get guys who have proven to be ball players in the league. Draft players are a lot of what ifs unless you know a guy is certain. So I feel like for me, man, the Dolphins are making big moves and they're getting guys that have proven to be good and they're going all in.
Oh, Melissa.
So, Terry, just real quick, Terry. Just give us the Reader's Digest version. What are the Lions doing?
So to me, the Lions are pretty arrogant right here, if I'm honest. So the Lions are arrogant for them to release TJ, who's a key weapon, a guy that was always, a guy you can rely on. The last couple of years, a great target, 5th in like yards, as a tight end. But letting him go because he's due for a payday. His contract extension. To keep him there long term for the team was coming up. They don't feel like they need to pay him because they got Jameson Williams, Amon-Ra, Josh Reynolds, guys that they can go out and get. So they rather get draft capital. But to me, TJ Hawkinson is a guy, he's a culture guy. He to me is someone that you can rely on to keep that culture that they're trying to build there. And for me, letting him go is really arrogant to show that you believe that your team can still be successful, even though we haven't seen any of the success. So letting go a key guy to get draft capital, is basically showing that we have something here promising, which I haven't seen anything promising besides Amon-Ra and Jamal Williams sometimes when he wants to, and DeAndre Swift. So for them to let these guys go, maybe they're getting draft capital to go out and get defensive players. We know the issue is defense. Offensively, yeah, they're limited, but it's defense. But I feel like they're trying to get the draft capital and trying to mimic what the Dolphins are doing, trying to get guys in with the picks. But we'll see, man. A lot of question marks. I mean, I feel like it's very arrogant to trade a guy who's been consistent for you and a guy who can be a staple piece for a young quarterback that may come in, because I do think they draft quarterback in the next draft. But I think to let him go is a pretty bold move.
It seemed like they're packing it in, Terry. They're saying, look, we ain't getting nothing out of here. Let's see what we can set up.
Well, Well, in your own division too, like they have to see this guy now because he's probably going to get extended with the Vikings. So now they got to see him 8 times total, like twice a year for 4 years is what if they may sign him for.
Yeah.
So I mean, you got to see the same guy in your division. He's probably going to be killing you because I don't see the defense getting better anytime soon.
I got it. Chuck, before we let you get out of here and shut down, is there anything else you want to share about Chuck Bailey III school and what's going to happen, just so we can get a summary on what's going on?
What you asked me? What school he's gonna go to?
That's the other thing too. They want to know. I just want to make sure.
God, man, you go. Box me in the corner, baby. Hey, dang, my guy. I moved. I recently moved, and then I'm thinking about opening I'm about to open another Motor City Smoothie in Hamtramck. So it looks like, as of now, it looks like we're going to going over to Hamtramck. They got the education component that we need for Chuck. And as far as the basketball piece, DJ has been doing a good job. He's a good friend of mine. So, in this time of need, this time right now where Chuck needs to be around some people who you really trust and stuff. So it's like, as of now, Hamtramck is going to be the school that we're going to.
That's a big announcement. That's a
breaking news, baby. Breaking news. CB3 Hamtramck. Okay, you heard it here first. Now you know your phone will be blowing up, man.
Yeah.
I'm about to cut it off.
Oh man, well that's Ed Banks under the Cosmos. Okay, we'll be a Cosmo party, man. Well, we can't leave on a better note than that, man. Chuck, we want to say thank you for all that you've been doing and being so willing to come and share. You always give good points on all the subjects we discussed. Terry, thank you for being flexible and all the great stuff you've been sharing about the playoff. Another kudos to you, Orlando, for bringing Micah K in. We had Micah K on earlier, female boxing aficionado, man. She was really breaking it down. And then we want to wish Chuck Bailey III the best as he extends his future to Cosmos Nation. Shout out to Coach Dennis Foster. It'll be a good one. They will be playing at the Ratio Williams Foundation tip-off. So maybe it'll all work out. You can slide in there. So with that, Chuck, thanks a lot. Terry, appreciate you. Orlando, appreciate you. We'll be back at it next week. Lindsay Hus with the SPS Edge Show. Peace.